Good morning, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. This St Stephen's Day, Boxing Day. I hope you all had an absolutely fantastic Christmas. Just a little bit, put that down a bit. I hope you all had a fantastic Christmas. Nice, relaxed day yesterday. We had a fantastic day. I just want to get Stephen, I hope you're okay. I don't know if it's good news or bad news from the doctor, but the doctor said it'll take 12 to 20 weeks for you to get back to normal. I tell you, you do go through the wars, as they say, mate. But you're here every day, and that's what counts. You know, you're a fantastic supporter of the channel, and we hope that you get back to normal as quick as possible. Right, let's get into some sad news yesterday. It was obviously the news that we didn't really want on a Christmas day, and it's never easy when Celtic lose someone that was so important to the club over the past year. As you seen in the video yesterday, I spoke about players that had passed away, ex-players that had passed away over the last 12 months. And never did you expect another legend of Celtic to pass away yesterday. It was announced yesterday. Celtic Football Club is deeply saddened to learn the passing of our former assistant manager, John Robertson. John assisted Martin O'Neill between 2000 and 2005. And the irony of Martin O'Neill being back at Celtic, helping Celtic out at such an important time, 25 years later, for his number two at that time just to pass away within weeks of Martin O'Neill being at the club for a second time. It's absolutely devastating. And then John just a Celtic statement, as you would have all read yesterday. So the deepest condolences go out to the family, and it's another sad day for Celtic. It's been an unbelievable year, hasn't it? It's been an unbelievable year for ex-players and now ex-assistant manager passing away. But we go on and life goes on, and Celtic transfer talk goes on also. Celtic have been linked with an Ivory Coast winger. How many players do you think that we need at Celtic? Will Celtic get any players in for the 1st of January? So we are running a poll this morning. The poll question is, how many players do Celtic need in the transfer window? I think 7. I think that we need at least 7 players to come in. Give me your thoughts in the comment section, and we'll get as many up as possible. The options are 4, 5, 6 and 7. 39% are saying 4, 9% are saying 5, 21% are saying 6 and 32% are saying 7 so far. And there's been 34 votes already. Thank you everyone who has voted. I'm just reading the chat. Right, anyway, Livingston tomorrow. It's always an interesting game at Livingston. Celtic do get quite a big part of the stadium, so there'll be a good away day fan base as always. It's not on Boxing Day, but when you see the fact that Livingston are meanwhile they've not had a win since August, and they're rooted bottom to the SPFL table. Do we have? I'll have all the old data, won't it? It might have the league table. It's obviously got the last game, Motherwell next, Livingston, Motherwell. This will get updated later today. But that was the last game. Obviously, Celtic beat Aberdeen 3-1, and it was an interesting game to say the least, because it gave the manager a little bit of leeway. But that could all come crashing down if we were to do the unthinkable and drop points. I don't think that we will drop points against Livingston. I think that that's a banker, as they say, when it comes to bookies' terms. And I think it's all going to be about the finishing. I think what Celtic fans will look at that game. There's the table just came up. When you see the table, Livingston are right at the bottom of the table. Can Celtic close the gap on Hearts this weekend? And will Hearts fall by the wayside over the next couple of weeks? I'd be halfway with 4 team ready players, is Somerset Town. Same here, Baz. Near enough full squad in. Lol, can't see it though. Be more like 2 or 3. I hope we do get more than 2 or 3. Used to see Robo every day inside the stadium. He'd sit at the players' pool, reading the papers with his 20 fags. Oh, the players' pool room. Back in the day. Yeah. It is sad when we've lost so many iconic people at Celtic this year. So many iconic people. It just shows you that we're all getting older. But who is our next legends? A lot of talk about Callum McGregor may leave the club. A lot of people are giving their opinions about whether Callum McGregor should leave the club or not. One person that talks to the media, Peter Grant, he's been talking about it. He says if McGregor ever did consider the calendar wouldn't much. He says, I'm not thinking it would be that would turn Callum thinking about would you leave at the summertime, would you leave at the next transfer window, the winter transfer window. If Celtic do lose Callum McGregor, we're going to miss. You're going to miss him. 32-year-old, you know, it is the biggest decision that he's probably made in his career, or will make. But then again, unless there's an offer, if there's no offer there, I mean, it's all speculation, isn't it? It is all just speculation. And until the club in question and the ex-manager in question makes an offer for Callum McGregor, if there's no offer there, there's nothing to worry about. And I don't think that, I would like to think that the ex-manager wouldn't wait until the end of the transfer window to try and put Celtic in a sticky position. But then would Callum McGregor leave at the end of the transfer window? I think he wouldn't. I think if we got down to the final days of the transfer window and Callum McGregor had the opportunity to head over to Saudi, I think he might turn it down, because he knows that he would leave Celtic in a perilous position when it comes to having that person in the midfield that can run games. Now, a lot of people will say, look, you've got Paulo Bernardo, he's more than adequate, but he's not Callum McGregor, is he? Gus coming in with a super chat this morning. Happy Christmas. Have a great New Year, Baz. Yes, I hope it's a good New Year. We've got a couple of games to fit in before. It's crazy. When you look at the games that are coming thick and fast for Celtic, obviously Livingston is the next game tomorrow, 3 o'clock kickoff, and then you have Motherwell on Tuesday. So that'll be interesting. Tuesday evening against Motherwell, and then the big one. The big one. It's only 3 games away. I don't even want to look at that one yet. But let's just make sure that we can get, because it's 2 away games, and it's very unusual to get 2 away games back to back at this time of year. Normally you get at least 1 game at Celtic Park, but we are back at Paradise for the beginning of the year. Will it be a good New Year? The Motherwell's the big game, isn't it? But we'll talk about that after tomorrow. I need to focus on Livingston. What do you think the manager might do against Livingston tomorrow? Will he change it up? Join me 9 and 8 p.m. Celtic Park time tonight, where we'll do a preview of that game. Getting back to Callum McGregor, Peter Grant obviously says, look, at 32-year-old, it would be the biggest decision of his career. It's not just about money or managers. It's about when you decide your Celtic story is complete. And I don't think Callum McGregor, I don't think that he will think that his Celtic story is complete. I don't think Callum McGregor would walk out in the middle of a season. Yeah, you know, if Callum leaves, he goes to Money Blessing. He's a natural choice to be the next captain. Is Ali Johnston. He's been a great servant, but like most midfielders this season, he's had more bad games than good. Bernardo can take over and do a better job. But can he dominate the midfield? You know, it's also that Paulo Bernardo's got that technical ability. But you're not just losing technical ability. Paulo Bernardo is not like a Paul Lambert. He's not like a Neil Lennon. He's not like a Scott Brown. I mean, Neil Lennon and Scott Brown commanded that middle defensive role. You know, they broke up play when there was attack coming forward. Neil Lennon would make that tackle. The dirty side of the game. Callum McGregor kind of does that a bit. Can Paulo Bernardo step into that footstep? Do you know, can he fill those boots of being that commanding midfield player that reads the game so well that when there's an attack coming and players are out of position, Paulo's the man to break down that. Do you know, Callum's had yellow cards for, he's taking one for the team just to break up a passage of play to stop the opposing team. That's the kind of holding midfield player that we've always had at Celtic over the last 20 odd years and beyond that. Is Paulo Bernardo seriously that person to sit in the midfield and dominate the game? I'm not too sure. But whatever happens, Celtic have been linked with a few players. One already is a winger. Celtic, there was in one of the mainstream media yesterday that Celtic are set to embark on a hectic January transfer windows. They aim to strengthen for the new manager Wilfred Nancy's squad. They're looking at a winger valued at 500,000. And I don't blame Celtic to start looking at players at that price bracket again, because we spent £5 million on a couple of wingers. You know, we spent good money on players, and let's face it, it's not really worked out the way that you want. The cost of a player. There's one thing that we know for sure at Celtic is the cost. The initial cost of a player doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have success with the player. Michelangelo Balikwisha, you know, some would say Tenekti, even though he's away. We should be slowly integrating players into the squad to replace the deadwood. Never been a fan of a large number joining at the same time. But we don't have, Mikey boy, we don't have the players to integrate. This is the thing. The squad's been decimated. When you look at the squad at Celtic, it has been completely decimated. And injuries, the B team is just full of youngsters, 16-year-olds that are nowhere near ready. They've just stepped into the void that's been left with certain players leaving the B team. You know, and Celtic have got no B team or academy to speak of. But when you look at the players, one player that you would hope would get some game time, if not, Sinisalo is going to be chapping on the door of the manager, and Sinisalo will be like, look, I need to go and get some game time. Jamal Simpson-Posey, I have no idea why we brought that young lad to the club on loan. He was obviously there to make up the numbers, but I think that was a bit of a panic last minute. Inamura, I don't think that he has a long term. There's talk of Inamura maybe leaving the club at the next window. I don't think that Celtic see him as a long term answer. Then you've got Marcelo Saracchi, who came in, done a fantastic job, but he's out injured as well. There's no time line on him. Now, players that have came through the system, you're talking about, we should be integrating players. The players that we do have that need integrated are the likes of Dane Murray, the likes of Colby Donovan. That's the level of the youngsters that are coming through. Now, people then say, oh, Dane Murray's not Celtic quality, but he's came through the system at Celtic, so we have to be getting the quality right at the academy level, and that's what Celtic don't seem to be doing. Young Colby Donovan, I think that he's one that should be getting integrated more into the team. I think that, I mean, Tony Ralston's there and he's been at Celtic for so long just because he's Scottish. I think if Tony Ralston wasn't Scottish, I'm sure he would have been moved on by now. But you do need a core Scottish element, and maybe Celtic will go into the transfer market in Scotland in the next window to try and get some players. When you look at the middle, I mean, then you've got the likes of Cameron Carter-Vickers. Celtic need to get in a replacement for Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's out for the rest of the season. He has never had one season where he's been completely fit. He's a fantastic player, but the big issue is his reoccurring issues with his fitness. Now, you could say that he had the operation on his knee. We all thought that was sorted, but then he goes and it's a hamstring, and it's whatever. So when you look at the defence, you've got Alistair Johnston out, you've got Sriracha out, you've got Cameron Carter-Vickers out, and you've got Jamal Simpson-Puzy. You could say that he's out. So all you have is Scales, Trusty, Dane Murray, Colby Donovan, Ralston, and Kieran Tierney, and Amura, who's that far out the picture. It just doesn't seem to happen. We need to strengthen in that department. We need to bring in at least one. If we can't get a top class defender in this window, it's a must for the. I would rather be built now, especially with the view to not only winning the league, but with the view to having players in for the attack on Europe in the summer. We need to get players in now to get them integrated, to get them settled, and to get them up to speed going into that window. Bringing them in the summer is too late. I would rather that we brought 7 or 8 players in now, and then the summer transfer window, it was all you're doing is replacing people that leave. And hopefully that's not going to be far too much. Obviously the big ones out there is Rio Hitati. Will it be his last year? Daizen Maeda, Yang. But then you've still got Jota and everybody to come back. So when you look at the midfield, we have Paulo Bernardo, who's your ready replacement. But I think that we need to strengthen in the midfield. We've got Benji Negrin, you've got Luke McCown, you've got Arnie Engels, Paulo Bernardo, Rio Hitati, and Callum McGregor. Now, what if the worst happens in the window and you lose Rio Hitati? Say that we get to the summer, we don't lose any from the midfield, and say you lose Rio Hitati and Callum McGregor in the summer. I mean, that's a big chunk of your midfield. You know, as bad as Rio Hitati can be in some games, he still does some amount of. I mean, his heat map's phenomenal, as is Callum McGregor's. But let's not look at that. And then we look at the forwards, which has been decimated also. When you've got Mikaland Balikwisha, that's away with the African Nations Cup. You've got Kelechi Iheanacho, who's just came back from injury and then went out injured again. Unbelievable. He will not get another year's contract out of Celtic. You've got Sebastian Tenetti, who is also away with the African Nations Cup. You've got Callum Osmond, who is out injured long term for the rest of the season. And Jota is it's a case of who's left, and you're left with Yang, who we all agree that is fantastic on his day, but he's not the answer. Shin Yamada's had no real effect at the club as yet. Johnny Kenny, 22-year-old, some say that he's not good enough for Celtic. They said the same thing about Adam Idah, who scored 29 goals. And then you've got Daizen Maeda, who's just going to decide when he wants to leave Celtic. And James Forrest is coming to the end of his career at Celtic also. The squad could be absolutely decimated this summer. Absolutely decimated. You could have Daizen Maeda leave. You could have James Forrest leave. Yang could be gone. Kelechi's gone. That's 4 players for the front 3 positions that would be leaving the club. That decimates the squad. And then not even talking about Rio Hitati, Callum McGregor could leave. In the defence, Sriracha might not sign. There's no option to buy. And Amura might leave. Jamal Simpson-Puzy will leave because he's only on loan. It's not looking great, is it? But anyway, that's talking about integrating players. Tierney will be next captain. Yeah, I think so. He's the natural one that you would think. We need a right winger, 2 strikers, and a right-footed centre back. Yeah, we do that. And I think we need a meaty. We need someone in the middle of the park that can play like Rio Hitati does for 90 minutes. You know, we need a midfield general, if you like, or someone big and tall in that defence. Stephen Johnson's feeling really festive this morning. Hit the thumbs up button. Everyone, thank you for that, Stephen. When you look at, let's jump back into it. I think we're both doing that this morning, mate. If they offer 20 million for Calmac, you take it. He's on the decline now. We will not get offered 20 million for Callum McGregor. You will not get, not a chance. I mean, what is he valued at in the transfer market? I mean, he's on the wrong age of being. I mean, at his height in 2023, he was only valued at around about 9 million. Right now, you'd be able to get him for around about £4 million, according to transfer market. You're not going to get more than that for Callum McGregor at his age. Not a chance. Not a chance. 32-year-old and you're talking 20 million. Never happen. Never happen. Not on a month of Sundays. I think we need to start investing in some other. Surely, if Callum is to leave, he'd do it at the end of the season. I think so. Reaching the end of his career, Callum needs to have payday before he retires. I don't blame him if he goes. No one said that about Scott Brown. No one says that, I mean, Scott Brown went to Aberdeen. I don't think Aberdeen were paying him 37, 40 grand a week. So he went to Aberdeen to play for his mate, to help his mate out at Aberdeen. Scott Brown didn't say, I need a big payday. Some people are happy with the amount of money that they've made at Celtic over the career. And, 37 grand a week. There's people on this channel that don't make 37 grand a year. Not being given the chance for 12 months because of Rodgers' love for Hatate. Bernardo isn't good enough. Ooh. Isn't the value, it's where the money will be spent. Yeah, I think that. We don't have midfield bullies. We need to get back in the ranks. Yeah, we do. 12 million on Yamada, Tanetti, Balak-Wisha, and we've got 1 goal and 1 assist between them. Exactly. And it just shows you, if we are going to go for a player that's costing 500 grand from the Ivory Coast, so be it. Wasn't that where a great winger that cost 50 grand came from? Any chance of Schmeichel getting dropped? There may be Santa. You never know. I'm kind of hoping that he gets injured again like he did last season. And I don't like a bad injury, but just, maybe slips a disc or something in his back. It's terrible wanting your goalkeeper injured so that it gets dropped. I mean, Schmeichel's he's been a good goalkeeper over his career, but I think that he's cost Celtic too many goals. And his decision making at times, you're thinking, we had a fantastic goalkeeper in Joe Hart, and he's not lived up to the expectation level that where you could say that he's as good as Joe Hart or better. Fitness wise, nowhere near it. Callum will finish his career at Celtic. We always need someone in the centre mid with authority. One of the most important transfer windows I can ever recall, to be honest, but every single transfer window is like that. We better have people coming in the door of the 1st of January. The board will have zero excuses. I don't think that they have zero excuses. It is difficult to get players in the 1st of January unless they're playing in a league that's already finished. And that means sort of going into leagues where you're then questioning the type of player that comes in. I mean, if you look at the success rate of the players that have came in from Asia, it's not a big success rate. So, I mean, you can talk about Kyogo, Dyson, and Rio. 3 players out of what? I mean, there must have been about 6, 7, 8 players came in from Asia over the last 4 years. So that's not a good success rate at all. But I think it's an important window. They're all important windows. Jota must be close to coming back. You would think so, but Celtic have said that they don't want to rush him. They've rushed too many players. This is the big issue that Celtic have had this season. Bringing players in too quick. Bringing them back from injury too quick. Because we need them. Do you know, it was a really bad injury that Jota got. And Celtic said at the time, as part of this recuperation, we cannot bring him back too early. Doesn't matter how decimated the squad are. And for the longevity of the player's career, and there's no repercussion of the injury, you need to make sure that he is 100% fit. You cannot come in and say, look, Jota's only 90% fit, we'll give him 20 minutes. Look what happened to Kelechi Iheanacho. You know, he just came back from a hamstring injury. He didn't even see out 20 minutes of the game, and he's off injured again. We cannot. The same happened with Alistair Johnston. Alistair Johnston was out. He comes back too early because we needed him. Gets a reoccurrence of the injury, and he's out for the rest of the season. Boom. Celtic just have to bite the bullet and go into the transfer market rather than relying on, look, we need to bring Jota back early. That's just my thoughts, and I think that Celtic will realise that now. It'd be funny if Robert Shanklin, not wouldn't he? He's a wee current bun. We keep saying that every window that we need central defenders. Why can't the board see it? I don't think there's anybody back at the turn of the new year. It's going to be way. You're talking February, March. I mean, there's talk of Jota coming back, but he's not even on the training pitch yet with the players. You know, he's still doing his own thing. And until you see Jota back on the training pitch with the players, he's then got 4 weeks to get his physical fitness up to speed. And then you've got game fitness. So you're not going to see Jota before February, at least. That's what I would think. Injury and suspension cover too. Yep. A lot of people saying Merry Christmas. It's the same every window. Yeah, it is that. It's I don't need prospects either. These signings need to be first team starters. I don't think that we've made many prospect signings over the last couple of windows. Do you know, there's not been. I mean, even going back to when we brought in Noroki and Gustav Lagerbielke, these were first team players at their club. You know, they weren't prospects. I mean, you could say, Shin Yamada's not a prospect, but I think the only one that was, you could say, was maybe a prospect was Inamura. Hatate is one of our best players for me, far superior to Engels. Do you think that Calmac is going to go to Brendan Rodgers in the window? No, I don't, Paul. I don't think that Callum would leave us in the middle of a season. We need starters, so tonight take his rightful place on the bench. Hatate needs to go. He's never been on it since Ange left. I have a taxi running for Yang, Maeda, and Hatate on Hogmanay. At this stage, I should be coming off the bench. Can't wait to have our injured players back. Crazy how much bad luck we've had with injuries this season. How many contracts finishing in the summer as well? That's a video for another day. It's quite no, there's not actually that many this year. I don't think. I've not looked at it yet for a long time. I think we'll be looking at get a striker we need in January. We have to get a striker. We have to get. It will have been a full calendar year since we lost Kyogo Furiashi, and we didn't replace him in that window. We then went into the summer knowing that we needed to bring in a striker. We knew all summer we needed to replace Kyogo Furiashi. Adam Ida was backup striker. Adam Ida wasn't a number, he wasn't your number one striker. Even though he scored 20 goals the season before, even though he scored 20 goals, he wasn't deemed good enough by Celtic supporters. It's crazy to think that you could score 29 goals in a season and a half and be deemed not good enough, and then sold without him knowing, with no consultation, to just be given the phone and say, right, mate, that's you, you're leaving Celtic. We've accepted an offer for you. I was preparing to play the game at the weekend. I was preparing to. Okay, you go. You move on. Mental. And we didn't even replace him. It wasn't until after the window closed that Kelechi Iheanacho was freed by his club. And Brendan Rodgers then picked him up on a free. Absolutely crazy. I see a couple of Major League Soccer players coming in. No guaranteed of Champions League money next year. The board, will the board even bother spending? They have to. They have to, because if they want to, if the club, we've spoke about this before. I don't know if we go 2 years in the Europa, we go into a big period of managed decline, a massive period of managed decline again, and you can say goodbye to spending £5-6 million on players. You start bringing in players of 500 grand again to get the profitability of the club. Anyway, how are we going to find the next Victor Wanyama? No idea. Kaiser's in the house. The formation only needs two midfielders, such as front two are more attacking minded. Bernardo, McGregor, Engels. Itati maybe soon, so I hope a tough tackler in centre midfield. It's a good one. Two centre backs, let one bit of right back, the winger, strikers. Can't see Calmac leaving. Calmac with a sell-on clause. With a Santa Claus, more like. I think it would be more a Santa Claus than a sell-on clause. Okay. You okay? Tough then. We need signings to have physicality. That's the key word with Celtic. It's been the key word with Celtic for such a long time, isn't it? We lack physicality. We lack that, getting bullied. If you play good football, and if you play fast attacking football, getting bullied in the SPFL shouldn't be a thing, because players can't get to the ball quick enough. So comes down to system and managers, but you also need that physicality for corners and stuff, and set pieces, but we'll wait and see. I'm not holding my breath. Surely the amount of money Rodgers can spend in Saudi, he'll be looking at better than Calmac. Oh, interesting one, Scott. That's a little bit of a dig at Calmac. Sometimes managers have players, and they take players to a club to do a certain thing. There's a lot of players that have went to that league and been big name players, and they haven't succeeded. So I don't know. Centre back, right centre back to cover Trusty, centre midfield, two right wing backs, two centre forwards, get Kearney on loan to someone. That's a bit of a shame for Johnny Kenny. Don't you think that Johnny Kenny would be better coming off the bench and learning from a prolific striker rather than putting him out at loan? I'm not for putting the likes of Johnny Kenny out on loan. I'm going to tell you why, because I don't think that he would progress as a player going to a Motherwell or another team in the SPFL. We put players out on loan, and it's generally the end of their Celtic career. There's not been... Who was the last player that we put out on loan and they improved as a player and they came back and was successful? Liam Scales. That was it. Look at the amount of players that we've put out on loan since Liam Scales went to Aberdeen. We don't have a good success rate right now at putting players out on loan and bringing them back as better players. So for me, I would rather keep Johnny Kenny at Celtic to build his confidence up, to learn from a prolific striker. People will say, well, he's 22-year-old, he shouldn't be learning. Every day is a school day when it comes to football. And if you think that players and managers don't keep on learning tricks. I mean, Henrik Larsson would tell you that. I mean, he was still learning every day. Hence the reason that he gets. If you don't keep on learning as a striker, and you don't. I think that Henrik Larsson's levels went up every time he moved away from Celtic. I mean, to get moved to Barcelona, you've got to up your level again. When you get moved to Manchester United, you've got to up your level again. Do you know what I mean? But there's not many players like him in the modern day. Who's doing the signings if it's Tisdale is Weeding? James Forrest and Carwack, as well as Woodsy, will be going to Saudi with Brendan. One last payday, 7 million for 7 million. 3 for Carwack, 7 million for Carl, 3 million for Jamesy. Not a chance, mate. You're not going to get 3 million for James Forrest when he's got 6 months left on his contract. And he's a 180-year-old. And I don't think James Forrest would want to leave, to be honest. I think James Forrest wants to get that big row of medals that will go away out here. You know, I think that James Forrest would rather go, fuck, I'm not going away over there, man, to play football in that fucking heat. Fuck that shit. At my age, fucking running about in that fucking heat. Not a chance, man. Are you bonkers? I'm talking about pipe and slippers stuff. It's the end of my career, mate. I'm not going to sweat my arse off in that bloody desert. Don't think he'll be dropped. I think that Nancy won't want to disrupt the harmony too much of the stage, talking about the goalkeeper. His distribution is rank rotten. It is that. Who trusts this board to actually choose decent signings? I spent 2 years, 5 million on Mikael Ange Balak. Whoosha, boom. No Christmas presents to the board this year, is there? Let's fucking get into them. What has Engels offered since he joined us? He can take half decent corners. Crazy. He's another one that's only 21-year-olds. I think that you need to stop looking at. He was brought in as a prospect, even though 11 million isn't prospect prices. It's the going rate for players of his quality in Europe. But you're not going to see us spending 11 million on players anymore. So I think that people are still going to keep on giving stick to Arne Engels because of his price tag. And then whilst we just go into this period of managed decline at Celtic, where we start spending 200 or 300. I'll say he's carrying an injury for last season. Schmeichel's not been. He shouldn't have played since the cup final, to be honest. Joseph Davis says, hope you all had a good day yesterday. There's quite a few South Americans in the MLS. That's where the bargains may be. Jenny, hoi. Hoi you. It's just someone getting out of their car. That's all. There's no need for you to be barking. Right? Unless they've got a ranger stop on. They have a ranger stop on. Good dog. There we go. Clever. Get players in early in January. Well, that's Jota's injury could have ended them. Could that? That's why there's no need to rush him back. Japanese players have offered more than European ones have offered. How much game or lack of game they've been given. There's been a few that's left the club. Schmeichel's shoulder isn't right from his injury with Denmark. Too much pressure placed on individuals and not the squad. That's a good comment. That's a sensible comment, isn't it? I mean, as fans, we can all blame individual players. And you're like, he's shite, man. Yeah, I'm telling you one thing. He's pish. No, he's not. He's fucking brilliant. You even watch football, you're a mental case. What are you fucking talking about, man? I had 3 pints before the game and that was it. 3? Is that it? Yeah, fucking pussy. But anyway, it is that when it comes to people talking about players, isn't it? I mean, you all have your own opinions, and sometimes you could be sitting watching the game and you're going, are you actually watching the same game as me, mate? You've been fucking spectators, yeah. Not many South Americans will settle in Scotland. That's a worry if Wilfred Nancy brings it in. Jota looks like he's lost weight too. Yes, he does. And when you're not using your muscles for the best part of a year, of course you're going to lose that. So he's got to build himself. He's got to get his fitness back. He's got to build himself back up physically. And that's going to take time. It's going to take time. Bring Scott Allen as assistant. Someone's had too much sherry. Can't afford to lose Calmac. He'll be a massive loss. Yep, he will that. Everyone has known since January we need a striker. We've known since August we now need two. It's a disgrace. Jota's a long way off. The question is him getting fit and physicology of the damage done to him. Yes. Yeah, just look at Callum McGregor, says Geyser. Merry Christmas from Vietnam. Oh, he's listening on the beach. That's just shown off because it is summer down there in that part of the world, even though it's around about 18 degrees here today. Hate the transfer windows, plenty of talk, not a lot happens. So it's a bit like, can't say that, it's Boxing Day morning. An experienced centre half and a striker in immediately. Would you have Kyogo back? No, but what I have asked in the poll question this morning is how many players do Celtic need in the transfer window? There's been over 215 votes. Oof, it's a close one. Oof. It's currently sitting, we'll start at the bottom. 6, we'll start from the numerical order, like the way that the manager likes to do it, and not in positional order. We'll do it numerically. So we start with 4 players in is sitting on 27%, 5 players in is sitting on 25%, 6 players in sitting on 20%, and 7 players in is sitting on 28%, which puts 28% is the lead, is 7 players. So that's interesting that some 7-4. I wonder how many we will get in. We'll see how the board reacts if they bang money. I don't know, about 3 players in the first week. Might be moving forward. I have my doubts. You could go and get 3 players in the first week, and you could spend 1.5 million. What would be what the board are in? The board are in a difficult situation because if we go and spend, say we bring in 3, but then the manager said, I don't want prospects. I don't want players that are being brought in just for the sake of bringing players in. That's not what I'm about. I want to bring players in that will make a big difference to the club. It's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting to see what happens. Ray says, morning, Stephen. Merry Christmas. I take Kyogo back on loan. I wouldn't take him on loan, really. Why? That's going back. I don't. Do you know there was? I read an article and it spoke around. It was like 3 or 5 players, ex-players that Celtic could bring back, and you're thinking, is this how bad we are right now? Like you're thinking, do you know what? Let's go and bring players back. The ambition levels just went like that. It's been decimated. We have to get 3 strikers in. We don't have any first team strikers. I found about 65 strikers, monitoring them myself. The transfer window faces a brick wall. And that's triple glazed, yeah. Centre halves were Angie's signings. Rogers didn't like them because they had to go forward. But I think that the ones that did come under Rogers, I mean, he spent 7 million on strikers, and he said that they were already picked to come to the club. Whether or not the one that's out on loan can come back. Losing Kyogo, O'Reilly, Kuhn killed their squad big time. But then we also lost Jota in that period. And I think Jota was far superior. Although we've had Jota back, Jota never really got started again, did he? It's a sad situation. It is that. So sad, so sad. Shows image of Paul Bernardo not wanting to be anywhere doing that presser. They'll still have it. The free Paulo Bernardo one. No, That one. There we go. There's your Mr. Midfield guy. That's the man that you want in the middle of the park. He's being held hostage at Celtic. Been at Celtic for 500, 365, 785 days and counting. I scribble the marks on the wall. I pray for my release. Please pay the ransom and free me. Paolo, Bernardo, rewritten, rewritten message. They are making me say this. Ha ha ha. Oh Jesus! We need a prolific striker. We do that. Definitely needs an imposing centre forward. We had an imposing centre forward in Adamida, and you didn't like him, and we got rid of him. What if Nancy goes tits up and left with the squad full of players for his formation? Oh Jesus! Full of Christmas spirit. So Merry Christmas. Right, I'm going to jump through. I have no confidence in anything at Celtic apart from the support. Oh. The life cycle of players brought in by Big Ange is over. It's time for wiffle ball. Wiffle ball? Is that a cake? Callum could go. Could go if it's crazy money. I wouldn't give Nancy my phone number, let alone money. Need rid of Ralston, Scales, Yang, Hitati, Maeda, Kerry, Detonecti, Bernardo. And we're talking about we need 7 players in just to make the squad better. That would then we would need 14 players in. But Kyogo won't be back, so it's all good. Carmack won't go anywhere. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Ay, ay, ay. Happy Christmas. The short-term missing link with our system is Alex Gogic. You think so? Ryan Christie. Oh Jesus. Christie, yeah. Did Christie come back an improved player? Ryan Christie. He was sold for 3 million. We're left to go. But I think Liam Scales is the more modern one. But that's, I mean, you're talking Iron Christie. You're talking 320. You're talking in the teens. That wasn't in the last 4 years. Scales are baby. Right, I'm going to jump through this morning. I've been on for 48 minutes. Apologies if I didn't read out your comment. Need to get loans in January. Dun, dun, dun. So many players due back in the next couple of months. We need temporary solutions until then. I don't think that that would be the answer going into the summer. I think that we need to sit down and take a pragmatic look at where the club is heading and how to get us. It shouldn't be about just bringing players in to win the league. It should be about bringing in players that can get us to qualify for the Champions League. That's what we should be doing for the quality of signings that we're looking to bring in the next window. And I think bringing in loan players to see us to the end of the season isn't really the answer. Anyway, the French Legion, let's go. Merry Christmas. Have to chat to yep. Anyway, that is me done and dusted for this morning. Let's finish off the poll. It was, how many players do Celtic need in the transfer window? Number 4, we'll go in at last. Number 6, 6 players in is 21%, and 5 players in is 25%. 4 players in is 26%, and 7 players in is 29%. 244 votes on that poll this morning. That's great to have a little rest and come back to such cheeriness. Such cheeriness. I'm glad that you'll have a fantastic day yesterday. Anyway, that's me done and dusted for this morning. Make sure that you join me tonight, 8 o'clock Celtic Park time, where we could talk about the Livingston game tomorrow, the plastic pitch, and does the manager change things? Because Kieran Tierney on a plastic pitch doesn't work. James Forrest on a plastic pitch doesn't work. What will happen then? Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.